right, finally, it's really me. Hi, I am Kim, and we have tonight the newest power couple of Delaware. Hi, welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you for having us.
All right, introduce yourselves.
Keith James for Voices for the Voiceless.
All right, so now everybody's probably wondering why I'm calling you the power couple. So tell everybody what you're doing.
Um, well, in the last 4 months, we wrapped up 21 Days of Love, which was just the fasting from negativity, the old ways that we were used to. And I mean, I guess we should start with when we started last year.
Okay.
Coming up on our first year anniversary, actually, with Voices for the Voiceless being in place. And we started with a community conversation. We heard the problems that the community wanted us to bring to light, and we responded to that with a peace march. After responding with the peace march, I went on a 21 days of silence. Pretty much, if it wasn't pushing the movement forward, I wasn't talking about it.
Okay.
Just fasting from. I wanted to take more time to listen because I talk a lot. so I was just trying to take more time to listen. Follow that with 21 Days of Love, and now we're working on a new generation movement. Pretty much where we're going out on speaking campaigns this summer, different churches in Wilmington in the state of Delaware, and just talking about all the positive things that we're doing. I use my testimony to really talk to a lot of the youth about, you're never too deep in to get out of a situation. And I mean, we have a TV show now on Channel 28,
Yeah.
Wednesdays at 5:30 called The Advocate. So
Wednesdays at 5:30. We want to really
yes.
plug that. Everybody tune in Wednesdays at 5:30.
Yeah.
All
And
right.
We have we work with Kevin Muhammad, who's an excellent mentor, excellent
Okay.
leader, and Ray Moore from Christina Cultural Arts Center, and he has a in these street segment. So he just goes out and he talks about, talks to a lot of the adults on their view on what's happening in the streets. And
Okay.
our Voices for the Voiceless segment pretty much just talks about, the voices for the voiceless, the people and the things that you don't normally get to hear about. The young people stating, where they're at in life, what they're doing with the events, the positivity that the news doesn't always get to show. So it's great that she's just rocking out by my side always. You know what I mean? Anything
That's
I need her to
it.
do. She didn't even want to be here right now. so we just just really working and following God's will for us. I mean, it's just been a journey though. I'll tell you that.
All right. So for people who aren't up to date and don't know all about your greatness, tell us about the 21 Days of Love and what your message was and how you went about that.
21 Days of Love, I mean, that was really designed for us to, break down all the things that were separating us as nonprofits and as a community. We worked with Westside Grows Together, Chains Inc., Aaron Hunt and Vanity are great, community leaders that I look up to. And I look to them for the 21 Days of Love. And Aaron told me where we could have been better as far as getting that message out. And Vanity spoke to us how we can be like more proactive throughout, you know what I mean? And so just working with them, we just decided to like figure out what's the best practices instead of looking at all of the statistics from all around the country. We wanted to look at Wilmington and take the time to get away from our personal feelings about each other, about certain topics, and just really listen to what's going on. And it was a humbling experience.
So what were some of the things that you learned in that 21 Days of Love?
Well, around the end of 21 Days of Love, and this was probably like the overall message why I went through it. I was personally in my life, I was feeling kind of like low, you know what I mean? But for like business, everything was like kind of like just starting to move in my head. And on the 21st day, that's when like Baltimore and everything was happening, and I had a dream that on the news you're seeing all these riots, but then it switched to like the civil rights with Dr. King and Malcolm X sitting down in that one interview that they did. And it was, to me, that was the sign that like we had to kind of like revamp the civil rights movement and the new generation movement. That's what it's about. She's gonna be talking about like what it's like to be a woman in this generation. You know what I mean? A young lady growing up. You know what I mean? A lot of the young ladies allow men to talk to them certain ways. I tell you, it's humbling. You know what I mean? Like where I come from, I used to be disrespectful, but if an ounce of that comes out, like her dad don't even gotta say nothing. She just remind me, you know what I mean? And that's something that a lot of young people need. And as far as we talk about the civil rights, we talk about human rights, we talk about knowing your rights, professional development. So
what are some of the rights? Let's say knowing your rights. What are some of the keys that you find people really don't know in knowing their rights?
you have the right to know. Like, I mean, why cops are stopping you? They don't. For me, it was hard to take in because I didn't like the idea that we had to go out to schools in the city of Wilmington and talk to kids about why they have to keep their hands on the steering wheel, why they have to keep their tone at a certain level, otherwise too high because of the color of your skin, you're considered a threat. But I mean, a lot of youth don't know that, like, you can tell cops no if they ask to search your car. And they can hold you up to a certain amount of time before they have to let you go, unless they get a warrant in that certain time. And a lot of people don't know that. They feel like, okay, he's asking me, and if I don't, then he's going to arrest me, and he can still search my car and take it. You know what I mean? So they just always say yes. And that's really the biggest one. They don't know that you can tell a cop no. So, I mean, I've had personal experiences to where it's like if you don't kind of like stand your ground, then it could always lead bad. You know what I mean? Not with Wilmington cops though. I love Wilmington. Wilmington cops are excellent, but it's different. It's different culture in different areas. You know what I mean? Like how comfortable I am in Wilmington with Wilmington police and Wilmington, politicians and stuff like that. I'm not comfortable like that in Claymont because I mean it's a different environment. So I'm learning too. It's a process, and I'm big on just like pushing that onto like the community to be able to help. I feel like that's my mission right now.
All right. And Ms. Janelle, tell us what some of your thoughts are about the same things, the movement and the 21 Days of Love. What did you get most out of those 21 Days of Love?
Well, I know for the 21 Days of Love, a lot of violence stopped. Because of before, there was all the shootings in Wilmington and how all the young men were dying, so I know in the 21 Days of Love, there was fewer shootings. And then for the civil rights movement, I think people should know their rights and everything because, like he said, some people don't know they can say no, and you really need to know that, or you can get taken for granted, or then you just, I don't know, you just need to know that stuff because if you don't like stand your ground, then you're gonna let other people push around, not just cops, but anybody else. So you need to learn you can stand your ground then, so then you can stand your ground anywhere else.
And tell me about your new show and what you like most about being this. I understand you hosted a lot last week, so tell me what it was like.
It was great. We got to go to the jazz festival and we talked to Layla James.
All right.
And so you get to meet a lot. I got to meet a lot of new people, and it's like good interactions because I'm really, really shy. So it's good for me to get my public speaking and everything.
We did Bo Biden's funeral too.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
We covered that. That was only like for social media. Like that went on social media though. It was because the Biden's done so much for Delaware. You know what I mean? Like just like that family. And I saw Vice President Joe Biden speak for the first time when he was down at the Chase Center, and it was just, to me, it was just like everything right now. Like and I'm really humbled at this point right now when walking in here and seeing how, because you guys were like the first show to really bring me on and let me talk about what I was doing. Like I said, I talk a lot, so I like telling about what I'm doing,
right.
And just coming here and seeing how everything here has changed, how things in my life has personally changed. I mean, it's great. Like 2 years ago, like I did not picture myself to be, doing some of the things that I'm doing, blessed with some of the opportunities. And as she said, we get to meet great people. In the last year, in our first year, I got to present my life map to Brian White, who's an actor. We got to see Joe Biden speak. She met Brian White too. I mean, it was just like different opportunities that never would have been available to me if I didn't make some changes. If I didn't.
So what were some of the things that you changed from? So people who don't know, tell us about the change and what it was like making that change.
I changed from doing drugs and not going to school. I dropped out of school, and for me it was just like first and foremost I had to find God. You know what I mean? And that was something that I never really appreciated because my mom comes from Thailand, so her mom being a Buddhist and she's trying to practice a different religion, it was kind of like conflicting, you know what I mean? So she was always free with letting us believe what we believe, but she told us what she believed and what she wanted us to believe, but she let us be free. And so I had to first find God, and then the road to recovery. I mean, it was hard, but I don't like saying I'm recovering. Like I'm recovered. Like
right.
I've learned that I went through an experience to see what I wasn't, and I wasn't that.
Okay.
And building my better relationship with God. I was disrespecting my mother. You know what I mean? I resented her for things about my father, for my father not being there. I disrespected women. If I can disrespect my mother, you can imagine how I would disrespect other women. You know what I mean? So I mean, it's just like my life has completely changed. Like I mean, it's easy to tell you like my life has completely changed. Like the man I am today is because of like the people that's been in my corner. It's Marcelo Bradshaw, that's Orrin White, That's my mother. You know what I mean? She's been rocking with me for like 7 months now.
All
And
right. So how old are you? That's important.
20.
20.
Yeah.
And so
just turned
I'm
20.
loving all of this because of course, this is Congo Children's Corner, but
Yeah.
I'm meeting so many young people who are changing and changing at an early age. We always get people usually a lot more seasoned and mature.
You see what Kasai
So-
Guthrie's doing with We
Hey,
Need Our Fathers?
isn't that amazing?
Mr. Lemonade, like shout out to all the 20 under 20 first
That's
of all.
it.
To 20 under 20, man, I see some great young people doing stuff like, and for me, I say like young people because I don't know, I just feel old. You know what I mean? I just feel old. That's why. But
So
not
that
like
makes
my
me
peers.
ancient? Don't do that.
Nah. I wouldn't throw no shade that way. But I mean, I
Okay.
just my peers. You know what I mean? Seeing them doing like great things, it's some people will look at it as a competition. Like I look at it
Oh,
as
it's
like let's push
not.
each other to be better. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Every time I see Kasai, it's always what's been going on. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let us know. And if he knows if he ever needs anything, give us a call. But it's because of the people who've done it before us. You know what I mean? We have our Trippy Congos. You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
We have our Donald Mortons.
Right.
We have those people that we can look to. And behind closed doors, I mean, a lot of the politicians are really like down to earth with us. We're like, we don't get those, we don't get what we normally would hear about how politicians are. Now
Right.
they want better for their community, and I just wish a lot of people would kind of like take that stipulation off of them, because I've seen them like really make moves happen for us to be able to like push down 4th Street for a peace march.
That's it.
I mean,
That's
it's
it.
just been a blessing, I'll tell you.
That's it. All right. So we're gonna give Wednesday night show another plug. Come on, let's get it going.
So you know how to what is it?
The Advocate comes on January 28th at 5:30. On Wednesdays.
And
All
you can
right.
follow The Advocate on Instagram at advocate_show, or
Okay.
you can email us if you want to come on the show or get an interview with the show at advocateshow@gmail.com, and
All
you
right.
can email reach.v4v@gmail.com if you want speaking engagements.
Hey, that's what we want. We want to keep pushing it.
Yeah, so just
All
keep
right.
pushing.
All right, and you guys can't get too big. You still got to keep coming back on.
Oh no,
Congo
there's
Children's Corner, okay?
I'm telling her I'm staying here. You know
That's
what I mean?
right.
I'm
you
trying
still
to
gonna
make a
host with
change.
me sometimes and
Oh,
everything, right?
Look,
All
I'll
right.
jump over there right now.
All right. All right, Fab. We appreciate you coming.
for
We
having me.
appreciate everything that you're doing, and bringing positivity into the community and making that example for young people. So just as you guys see all of these other people, you can imagine how many young people are now looking at you saying, hey, guess what? He can do it, I can do it too. So it's really
all can
great
do it.
that you're willing to share and get out there. But please stand by. We've got more great fun coming up. Hi, and welcome back to the show. I'm getting ready to tell you welcome again. But we are back. I guess I got surprised because Quadi came and joined me.
Here I am.
Hey, everybody. All right. So we have 3 guests who are, I guess, the combination of what we needed. We've had if you guys have been watching, so hopefully you've been watching the show and you've seen we've had some young guys come on, and they've been talking about bringing their fathers back into their lives and doing
And the
plays.
importance of fatherhood.
That's right, and what a difference it made in their life and how they were missing so much. So tonight's guest, yay!
I'm excited.
And I'll let you introduce them.
So they are with Fathers Mentoring Fathers.
That's it.
And I found out about them because I received an email because you all are doing workshops at the Bear Library, which are absolutely free.
All
so there's no
right.
excuse.
No excuse.
If you have questions and you're a father, this is the organization to tap into. So
That's
please
it.
introduce yourself.
My name is Neil Reeves. I'm the president of the Board of Fathers Mentoring Fathers.
My name is Elton Smith. I'm the vice president.
My name is Weldon Spelman. I'm Director of Training and Personal Development.
All right.
And
so
please tell us a little bit about your organization.
please.
Fathers Mentoring Fathers is a 501c3 organization. The purpose of the organization, we're a professional fatherhood network where fathers mentor to each other and peer groups that allow for shared fatherhood experiences and personal growth. And our vision is to create better fathers, families, and communities through responsible fatherhood. And so we do that through parenting training. We offer networking opportunities. We offer health awareness seminars, and we have a spiritual component too, but we connect that with the interfaith community. The reason why the organization was basically started is that there are a number of conditions in our communities that we need to improve: high recidivism rate, high unemployment rate, high mortality rate for men. And so those are the primary reasons that we started the organization. If you think of a bell-shaped curve and you put a father at the top of that bell-shaped curve, to us that father's at the peak of his game.
Okay.
He has good parenting skills, he has employment, he has good health, and he's spiritually growing.
Okay,
But-
I'm going to stop you because good parenting skills. That's a difference sometimes
Yes,
between men, women, fathers, children.
Yes.
So how do you define good parenting skills?
Well, he's involved in his kid's life, his children's
Okay.
life. So
Okay.
that's the primary purpose.
Okay.
But all along that bell-shaped curve of that mountain are fathers in various stages of life. Too often, too many fathers are at the foot of the mountain and they never get to the peak of their game. And so our organization wants to be branded as the organization that helps fathers get to the peak of their game.
That's a great thing, and we need some fathers at the peak
Peak of their game, yes.
We see them all over, so we would love to have them there. And so, when do you meet at the library?
All right, right now we're doing, we don't have set meetings, we just
Okay.
have different events. And we just roll out all our training programs in April. Wilmington is the first basically test area for us, and we've done some seminars at the Bell Library as well. So I will say later on in the show, you're gonna probably put our contact information.
Okay.
And so the
Sure.
best way to follow us is either based on that information, our Facebook call is facebook.com/FMFORG. Email address is cs@fathersmentoringfathers.org, and our website is fathersmentoringfathers.org.
Okay. So if we could possibly get that up while we're doing the interview, that would be great. So they have that information in the back. So hopefully we can work on getting that together. And Mr. Smith, tell me what you bring and how you feel about the program and how it's coming along.
Well, I think the program's coming along well. Professionally, I'm a child psychiatrist, child, adolescent, and adult psychiatrist.
Okay.
So my interest in this organization is basically what I see every day. I work with kids in South Philly and work with families. And a lot of the families that I work with are families where there's a single parent, usually a mom, dealing with one or a handful of kids. And these children have behavioral problems. And I think it was 2 weeks ago, I did a little discussion, a little talk at the library to discuss the impact of the lack of a father on the development of a child. And it does, the lack of a father impacts the child developmentally just from birth all the way to death. And at different stages, the impact is felt different ways. For example, at birth, the mother is up all night, she's tired, she's cranky, she needs rest, and this infant, this child is dependent on her for emotional support and for developmental growth. So the mother at this stage is at risk for depression. And when she's depressed, she's not taking care of herself, but also not her baby. So if she's not speaking and communicating with her child, the child's not getting language. So that's going to affect the child developmentally from that standpoint. Socially, the child is not getting that reciprocal affection from the mom, so it's going to become closed off. And again, that's going to affect this child down the road. At another example, at a later stage in life, around the 2s and 3s, the terrible 2s, everyone calls it. This is where the parenting skills come in. You asked before, how you define good parenting skills. At that age, good parenting skills are defined by setting limits and being consistent. When you have a household with a mother and no father, the burden is placed on the mother. And it's very easy at that point to just, when the child's having a tantrum, to just let them have it. They want the cookie, you know what, I'm tired, I'm sleepy, just take the cookie, I'm gonna go to sleep. Now, unfortunately, yes, you are avoiding that minor headache at that time, but what you are teaching that child is that this tantrum behavior is how I get my way. And what the child learns in the household, it becomes what it is portraying outside the household. So what you see down the road is you see a lot of kids who don't follow rules, who don't respect boundaries. And you wonder, where does this come from? At this point, the 5, 6, or 7-year-old kid is not having behavior problems in school. And that's usually where I get involved, and I'm seeing these kids. And a lot of the times I'm finding that the mother didn't set limits. Now, when it comes to the parenting styles of mothers and fathers, again, this is just my own observation, I found that mothers have a tougher time setting limits. So if you look at the good cop, bad cop, the mother's usually the good cop. The dad's usually the bad cop. Fathers it's easier to set limits to be disciplinarian. Whereas the mothers, they have the conflict, they want to be nurturing, but also be the one that says you can't have this. And that's where the conflict sets in. If there's no mother and father, there's no one to set the balance. And the scales are tipped toward a child who is probably going to get their way more times than not. Not just because of the differing styles between men and women, but also because you're placing the entire burden of that job of raising a child on one person. And there's no balance.
Okay, so my question would be, how do you engage these fathers?
Yes.
And how do we, because we hear so often from males that the cycle, oh, I didn't have a parent, I didn't have my dad in my life, so I don't know how to do this. Where do you guys come in, and how do you teach somebody who, you got a grown
been,
kid,
yes.
and
Hasn't
you
had
need
that
them to
proper
step
upbringing.
in and be a father? How
Well,
do they
that's-
come in and do
That's
that?
where the training comes in. And that's where I come in and build a curriculum that's evidence-based. We know what has good outcomes. And it's supported by a men's group, where
Okay.
men have a group facilitated by a man, and they learn from their shared experiences. So if you haven't had that father experience, then you can hear someone else said, when I was there, this is what I learned. Men don't particularly like to be told what to do.
That was
Yes,
going to
the
be
next
my next
one,
thing.
yes.
How do you
How
get these
receptive
men
are
to
they?
come in?
Right. So we have a unique setup here where men will actually take the shared experiences from other men. And it shouldn't be a man versus woman thing. So we have an orientation training where they do learn whatever they do, they're leaving a legacy. How you solve problems with your significant other, you're leaving a legacy. How you spend your money. Good or bad, you're leaving a legacy. So we teach the fathers to expect to be engaged with the baby before it's born. To expect to understand the mother will go through what Dr. Smith explained before the baby's born.
So does this mean that you are typically dealing with people who are not fathers already, who aren't dealing with?
Absolutely.
So you actually don't work with fathers who have not been a part. Like, we've had young men come on television recently who are sharing their experience. They're 19, 20, 16, 15. They've never had their father in their life, but they're inviting their father into their lives.
Right.
That's not a father that typically would be someone you work with. You would work with someone who's dealing in a younger situation?
No, we work with all fathers.
Cross.
The fact of the matter is that I grew up with a father myself. Also, I've never seen an image of my father. And so basically God called me to start this ministry.
Okay.
And so it's primarily to address that need, what
Okay.
you just talked about. We want to, for fathers who have been absent in their children's lives, we want them to get involved as well. But also we want fathers who've been active in their children's lives to be a part of our organization as well. Because at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is create a synergy where a shared fatherhood experience, where all the participants can learn about shared fatherhood experiences. And the approach we use is that when we have these discussion groups, we don't approach it from, well, you shouldn't be doing X, Y, and Z. We approach it from, this is what has worked for me.
Okay.
And so because the fathers we all have different characteristics, different gifts.
Right.
So, some advice you can take, some you can't. And so at the end of the day, what's beneficial to you, that's what you take to become a better father.
And what tips would you all give to fathers who may be dealing with not having their own father in their life, and now they're navigating new terrain and they don't know what to do?
Well,
I haven't done it in a while
Well,
for some of
yeah,
them.
yes.
They want to
Absolutely
come in
correct.
here.
well, most fathers in that situation, they have a close network of friends, and they get the advice from them. And I did that for many years until I
Okay.
realized that my close network of friends had the same father experiences that I had.
Okay.
And we didn't realize until we talked about it 30 years
Okay.
later.
Uh-huh.
And so this kind of organization is beneficial where you get the entire gamut of this shared synergy of fatherhood. And so, again, talking about that limited network, talking about the foot of the mountain, you can't get to the peak if you got a limited network, and that's why we're trying to expand the network for fathers as well.
All right. So once again, can you tell people how they can get in touch with you?
Sure. The best way to do it is our website is fathersmentoringfathers.org or facebook.com/FMFORG. Our email is CS, like customer service, but CS at fathersmentoringfathers.org.
Okay. Fathers Mentoring Fathers. All right. And this is nonprofit, so fathers who are coming to get advice don't have to worry about a cost involved.
correct.
Right.
Okay. There, they can you have at your website, or they'll find about upcoming events,
Yes,
or
absolutely.
okay,
Yes.
that sounds great.
Yes.
All right,
Much
well,
needed in our community.
much
So
needed.
please take advantage. And
That's
I
it. Let's
appreciate your
combine
vision.
everything.
Thank you.
Yes, because
God's vision.
that's
Yes.
it. Because it's definitely needed, and we've seen it over the past. I think this whole year we've had a lot of young men. We're gonna have to work on getting more young women, and because they keep doing men and girls need dads too.
Right.
So we get a lot of young men and a lot of males who are speaking out now about the fact that fathers have not been in their lives and what impact it's had on them, no matter what the cost, and how important it was once they came back. So
Yes.
we appreciate that. Well, I almost have people here doing a flip because we need a break. So we're going to take a quick break and we will be back. Please stand by. Welcome back. All right, so we have a lot of questions, of course,
Yes.
for these because we've all had experience. I don't think there's anyone watching the
has not.
show who has not, if not personally experienced, a friend, a
family,
cousin,
yes.
somebody has had the
Been in this
experience
shoe.
of not having a father. And so many of you maybe fathers
Mhm.
that don't know how to come back in, and it's a sticky
It
situation.
is, especially if you didn't have your own father in your life, so
Right.
you think it's okay. And we have to
Exactly.
stop perpetuating that it's okay.
It's not
we need
okay.
to co-parent effectively if,
That's
if
right.
they can't
Right.
be together. But
Still,
the point
you
of the
can
matter is,
co-parent.
we need both of you.
That's right. So, and how do you handle that? So,
Yes.
a lot of times now we have relationships that aren't together anymore, and they still need to together raise the child. How do you guys discuss that at all, or?
Yeah, we believe that father needs to be engaged, whatever status they are. If they're incarcerated, they still can have a benefit to the family.
Now,
Okay.
how would you describe that situation out of curiosity?
Well, if a gentleman, say, is doing his time, and he calls his significant others, what's the most important thing he wants to talk about? What are you doing to help me get out? What is the lawyer saying? Where's the money coming from? And when she comes to the window, he's going to ask all those questions first.
Right.
What we need to do is get in touch with him and say, what you're doing now, we can show you how to do it better. Even when you're out, you can do it now. First of all, say hello. How was your day?
That's it.
How are you doing?
Okay.
Okay. And then, how are the kids doing? How are the grades?
Right.
Yeah. And you're back here, you're behind. So, and then, before time's up, you can get what you need to support yourself. Okay? So, fatherhood is a state of being. And we let people know if you're fathering at an infant level, you're doing a lot of nurturing. If you're fathering at a teen level, you're trying to extend some authority to the teen and giving them some boundaries. The fathering aspect really never changes because I talked to my dad today. I'm 60, and my dad is 98. And I was doing something. He said, "No, don't do it that way." I said, "Well, let me try it this way." And we both walked away happy.
All right.
Okay, so it's a state of being as if you're on a lake in a canoe, and you're doing the paddling. So you want the folks that are with you to help paddle and
That's
learn.
it.
Sometimes you get off that river, and you enjoy the scene,
Okay.
and then you have to get back on. You might run into some rough water. How do you navigate that?
That's very true.
That's
Okay,
right.
so if you say, I didn't have a father, that's kind of a static picture of what you think fatherhood is. We want that to be a state of being, because what you're going to leave here is what you offer to your family generations past when you're gone. Good, bad, or indifferent, you will leave a legacy.
That should go on the billboard, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so. You will leave a legacy.
You will leave a
Good,
legacy.
bad, or
What
indifferent.
legacy are you leaving?
That is
That's
very
it.
true. Now, I'm thinking, based upon what we hear sometimes on some of the guests here, you know, some fathers are just scared. So how do you get them past that point of fear and
Scared of
I
what?
didn't have an example
Of
I'm
the
not good-
rejection,
I'm not good
of,
enough.
you know,
Yes, not
something.
having enough money.
Right, not knowing what to do, and just starting. I mean, anything that you start new.
That's
I
enough
can say
training.
for me, I've been trying to go exercise all for me. I just don't make it.
Well,
so
I
I
mean,
mean,
the
sometimes
training-
that starting point is what
The
you know.
training, the network support. This person is scared because he didn't have a model. How do you know how to get from point A to point B?
Yes.
If there's no roadmap. If you
Exactly.
if you had nothing to base it on. So by being involved in our organization, by being in our network, you now have a collection of people you can call and ask questions. And the fear is the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
The fear is I don't know what to do, and I don't have anyone I can call because I didn't have my dad there.
So
You know, so our organization provides that resource that now you can pick up the phone and call and ask a question. How do you handle this? What do you think I should do?
okay, and that's good to know. So you can come as you are, because I know sometimes people feel, you know, first I got to get myself together and then I can come, because I don't feel comfortable enough myself to be able to show up to a group of people who seem to have it all together.
Right. My pastor gave a sermon one time, and I go to 8th Street. I'm sorry, Belleville AME Church.
Okay.
My pastor's going to kill me there for saying that.
Uh-oh.
Pastor B, but
Pastor B
yeah,
was gonna
Pastor B
get
was
you.
gonna hit me. But anyway, he gave a sermon one time. He said, there'll never be a right time to join the church. And so there'll never be a right time to be a good parent. You just come as you are. We don't ask questions. Where you are is where we start. And if you, I'm not sure if they see our logo, but if you see our logo, the question a lot of times you see is two fathers shaking hands, facing each other. And so a lot of times the question, are you a mentor or a mentee? Actually, you're both. So on
Okay.
any given day, we can be mentors here or we can be mentees.
Okay.
And that's the way we approach our network.
Okay. And that's such a great way, because it is a tough point to start, and sometimes you already feel that you've been given this negative image, and so you feel like it's starting way underneath.
Right. It's about, I can speak from personal experience myself. Really, is once you commit and overcome the fear, is a life of self-discovery. And that's what you're doing, surrendering to the pain that you encounter without having a father.
Okay.
Once you overcome that, then the world is free for you to explore, and the opportunities are unlimited. And so it's just making that self-commitment to surrender,
Okay.
in so many words.
And self-reflect, which is can be a challenge.
Definitely.
Getting to know
Definitely.
you, but knowledge
Yes.
yourself is most important.
Yes.
It is.
Okay. All right. So we are looking to close out. Are there any last or things that, you know what, I got to make sure I say this, because this is one of the,
This is one of the most important, one thing that we haven't talked about.
okay.
Our network is for fathers, first-time fathers, until to fathers beyond retirement.
Okay.
Because, again, I said we have a health component to that too. And so we want to, those fathers of age, we want them to give back and share their experiences with other fathers.
Okay.
Health is a big issue in our community as well.
Definitely.
And so if we have that health component for a first-time dad at 20, 16, 20, by the time that father becomes 50 years old, health has already reigned
Okay.
into him to get a prostate exam at the right time. So the three components we have are designed to help fathers succeed from first-time entry of fatherhood to beyond retirement.
That's very
I like
important.
that.
I
It
do
is.
too, because we don't do health,
We don't.
especially not black males. So that's very important. So we truly appreciate everything that you all have done, and we definitely have you on our screen so people know we should get some good impact,
Yes.
and
Insight.
yes.
And now there's no excuse because there's an
That's it.
organization out there to help you where they will take you as you are.
as you are with no charge.
Yes.
That's important. So this is no charge, and you can surely start making a difference
In your
in
child's
tomorrow. That's right.
Leave a great legacy.
All right. And no more good, bad. It's going to be a good. Got a legacy of profitability.
That's
All right. All right. We appreciate you.
Yes.
Please stay tuned. Come back again. We've had a great show, and we look to see you next time. Thank you.